When midnight settled over the city, a sleek black cat named Whisper slinked through the shadows, her emerald eyes glinting with purpose. The museum loomed ahead, silent and imposing. Waiting behind the gates, her unlikely partner, a nimble mouse called Pip, twitched his whiskers nervously. Whisper gave a soft purr of reassurance, and with a flick of her tail, they began. Pip slipped through a gap in the door, disabling the alarm with a tiny bite to a crucial wire. Whisper followed, paws barely making a sound on the marble floor. Past ancient suits of armor and glass cases, they moved in harmony, avoiding every beam of moonlight and laser. At last, they reached the pedestal where the prized gemstone sat atop a velvet cushion, sparkling in the dark. Pip leapt up, pressing a hidden switch that released the glass dome. Whisper, with perfect grace, scooped the gemstone into her mouth. Together, they retraced their steps, vanishing into the night just as the clock chimed 1. No one ever suspected the museum's most precious treasure had been whisked away by a silent feline thief and her clever companion.
At the stroke of midnight, the Crescent Express thundered down the tracks, its whistle slicing the silence of the sleeping countryside. Inside, 8 uneasy passengers realized the conductor and engineer had vanished, leaving the locomotive barreling onward with no sign of stopping. Panic flickered in the dimly lit compartments. An elderly professor, a sharp-eyed child, and a resourceful mechanic joined forces, searching for clues as the train picked up speed. They discovered a cryptic note left in the conductor's cap. To stop the train, find the key where the moonlight falls. Racing through swaying carriages, they traced the glow to the observation car, where moonbeams revealed a hidden panel. Inside, a brass key gleamed. Together, they unlocked the engine room, only to find the controls sabotaged. The mechanic reconnected wires while the professor deciphered the manual, guiding the child's steady hands. With moments to spare, the train slowed, screeching to a halt at a forgotten station, shrouded in mist. The passengers stepped onto the platform, forever bound by the night they saved themselves. Silver moonbeams spilled across the grassy fields as the rabbits gathered quietly at the old oak stump. Their whiskers twitched with anticipation, paws digging into the cool earth. The air was crisp, laced with the scent of dew and wildflowers. With a silent nod from Willow, the eldest among them, they sprang forward. Ears flattened, legs pumping, they darted through the shadows, weaving between tall stalks and leaping over tangled roots. The field became a blur of movement, brown, gray, and white shapes streaking under the moon's gentle gaze. Hazel, the youngest, felt her heart drum in her chest as she surged ahead, her breath mingling with the night breeze. Behind her, Bramble and Maple pressed on, determined but falling behind. The finish, a patch of clover glowing silver, drew closer. Hazel's muscles burned, but she pushed harder, remembering Willow's advice. Trust your feet, trust the path. With a final burst, she crossed the clover first, tumbling into soft grass. Laughter rippled through the group. Tonight, under the moon's watchful eye, Hazel was swiftest, and the field belonged to her. Under a velvet sky, the museum glimmered with silent promise. Silas, nimble as a shadow, scaled the marble facade, guided by a silver moon and a whispered rumor. Somewhere inside, a lost treasure slept, waiting to be found. With gloved hands, he slipped through an open skylight, landing silently among ancient relics that seemed to hold their breath. The echo of his heartbeat mingled with the whispers of history surrounding him. He crept past laser grids, mirrored halls, and the ever-watchful eyes of marble statues, each step measured and precise. In the Egyptian wing, he discovered it, a dusty map tucked behind a faded sarcophagus, its edges brittle with age. The map led him through a maze of shadowed corridors, each twist guarded by riddles carved into stone. Silas solved each one, his mind racing against the approaching dawn. At last, he found a hidden alcove bathed in moonlight. Inside, a jewel-encrusted scarab sparkled, its wings folded protectively over a delicate scroll. As Silas reached out, the scarab clicked open, revealing the scroll's secret. It was not riches, but knowledge, ancient wisdom guarded for centuries. Silas smiled softly. Sometimes, the greatest prize is the story itself, a treasure no thief could ever steal. Imagine a city where the sky isn't a limit, but a blueprint. In the late 19th century, New York City transformed the way the world built cities. The invention of the safety elevator by Alicia Otis and steel frame construction allowed architects to reach for new heights, literally changing urban landscapes forever. While the 10-story home insurance building in Chicago is often called the first skyscraper, it was New York that embraced the vertical vision on a massive scale. By the early 1900s, the city's skyline began to soar with icons like the Flatiron Building, a marvel of steel and style that redefined architectural possibilities. Then came the race for the tallest, the Chrysler Building, with its gleaming Art Deco crown, briefly held the title before the Empire State Building claimed the throne in 1931, standing at an impressive 1,454 feet. These towers became more than just buildings. They were powerful symbols of ambition, progress, and American ingenuity. Skyscrapers revolutionized how New Yorkers lived and worked, stacking people and businesses high above the streets. Today, NYC remains a dynamic laboratory for vertical innovation, continuously shaping and inspiring the world's skylines. Dust motes danced in the summer sunlight as Mia and her brother Ethan pushed open the attic door. The air was thick with forgotten memories, boxes stacked high and draped in cobwebs that brushed their faces as they stepped inside. They were searching for their grandmother's old recipe book, hoping to recreate a dish from her past. As they rummaged through piles of dusty belongings, a yellowed photograph slipped from a cracked leather album and fluttered to the floor. Two children stood arm in arm, grinning at the camera, a girl with Mia's dimpled smile and a boy with Ethan's sharp gaze, yet neither sibling recognized them. On the back, in faded ink, a message read, "To my dearest children, may you always find each other." Puzzled, Mia dug deeper into the attic's shadows and uncovered a bundle of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. The letters revealed a secret long hidden. Their grandmother had a twin brother, separated from the family and lost to adoption after the war. As they read each letter, the siblings piece together a story of a family divided by circumstance and a promise made to reunite someday. Sitting among the relics of the past, Mia and Ethan felt the weight of history settle around them. They weren't just uncovering secrets, they were stitching together the family's missing pieces, bound by a love that spanned generations and time.
Eli's hands trembled as he lifted the brass faceplate of Master Corbin's oldest clock. The gears inside, intricate and dust-laden, whispered with the weight of ages long past. Master Corbin had always warned him, never touch the inner chamber. But tonight, curiosity won over caution. Eli's candle flickered, casting dancing shadows across the worn wood as he carefully explored the clock's depths. Behind the pendulum, he discovered a hidden compartment, cleverly concealed. With a gentle push, it slid open, revealing a parchment sealed with deep crimson wax. Heart-pounding, Eli broke the seal and unfolded the fragile letter. It spoke of a mechanism capable of reversing the flow of time for a single heartbeat. Eli's eyes widened with a mix of wonder and fear. His fingers traced the intricate cogs until they found a tiny concealed lever. Against every warning, he pressed it. The room spun wildly, gears whirred backward, and suddenly, Eli found himself standing in the workshop's past, watching his younger self enter for the very first time. The weight of what he'd unleashed settled heavily on him. Carefully, he returned to the present, resealed the parchment, and closed the clock's faceplate. He understood now. Some secrets were meant to remain hidden, ticking quietly through the endless march of time.
The baby monitor crackled to life, a faint whimper leaking through. Alone in the house, Jamie glanced at the small screen. Their daughter, Emma, slept soundly, until a shadow flickered across the nursery wall. Jamie's breath caught. The room's nightlight glowed steadily, but the shadow moved, stretching long fingers toward the crib. Heart pounding, Jamie leaned closer. There was no one else in the house. Emma stirred, her tiny fists waving in the air. The shadow recoiled, then crept back, darker and more defined. Jamie's voice trembled as they whispered Emma's name into the monitor, but the shadow paused, as if listening. Suddenly, it elongated, crawling up the crib's side. Emma's eyes fluttered open. She stared not at the camera, but just beyond it, smiling. The monitor's audio fizzed with static. Jamie bolted for the nursery, flinging the door open. The room was empty except for Emma, giggling, reaching for something unseen. On the monitor behind Jamie, the shadow lingered, now standing where Jamie stood, watching Emma with hollow patience. Jamie turned, but felt only cold air and the weight of eyes that would never blink. Liked the story? Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more chilling tales.
High noon scorched the sand outside the ramshackle saloon. Dust devils spun between two men, Jed and Cole, whose grudges ran as deep as the dry riverbed nearby. Wordless, they measured each other, boots creaking, hands twitching at their sides beneath the blazing sun. A single towering cactus stood between them, its arms raised as if to referee this tense standoff. The silence pressed heavy, broken only by the distant whinny of a horse and the faint clink of glass inside the saloon. Cole's eyes narrowed, sharp and cold. Jed's lips curled into a thin, hard line. The cactus bristled, casting a long, spiny shadow across the cracked earth. Suddenly, Cole lunged, not for his holster, but for a jagged rock lying half buried in the sand. Jed, startled, stumbled backward and tripped over a dry root hidden beneath the dust. Cole hurled the rock with all his might, missing Jed but striking the cactus squarely. A shower of needles rained down, pricking both men's arms and faces. They yelped, tumbling in the sand, their anger dissolving into surprised laughter as they brushed away the stinging spines. The cactus, undisturbed and proud, stood tall and silent, its shadow stretching over two rivals who'd settled their score without a single shot fired. The desert sun beat down, but the tension had finally broken, replaced by a grudging respect born from an unexpected truce.
Get ready to clap your hands and sing along as a group of cheerful kids come together to celebrate a special birthday. The classic Happy Birthday song is a timeless favorite at parties, and it's even more magical when sung by little voices full of excitement and joy. Imagine a room filled with colorful balloons, bright decorations, and a delicious birthday cake waiting to be enjoyed by everyone. The children's voices blend perfectly, creating a warm and joyful atmosphere that makes every child feel extra special on their big day. Whether it's your birthday or you're joining in to celebrate a friend, this sing-along is the perfect way to spread happiness and smiles all around. So gather your friends and family, light the candles, and get ready to sing your heart out with enthusiasm. Happy birthday to you. May all your dreams come true and your year be filled with fun and laughter. Let the music fill the air, and let's make this celebration one to remember forever. Join in, sing loud, and cherish these moments of pure birthday joy and togetherness.
Imagine a remote island where towering glaciers meet wild, stormy seas, and the only crowds are thousands of penguins. Welcome to South Georgia Island, a hidden gem nestled in the frigid Southern Ocean. Here, nature reigns supreme, and every moment feels like stepping to a wildlife documentary. The island's rugged coastline is home to immense colonies of king penguins, their vibrant orange markings glowing brilliantly against the icy backdrop. Elephant seals lounge lazily on pebbled beaches, while majestic albatrosses glide overhead, their vast wings slicing through the crisp, cold air. Adventurers can trek to the dramatic peaks of the Allardyce Range, marvel at the surreal blue hues of massive glaciers, or explore the haunting remnants of old whaling stations steeped in history. The local cuisine is a rare delight. Imagine freshly caught seafood, warming stews, and hearty fare designed to fuel your exploration. History buffs will find echoes of legendary explorers etched into the landscape, while photographers will be enchanted by the ever-changing light and raw, untouched beauty. South Georgia is where wilderness whispers, and every visit becomes an epic story waiting to be told. Under the cold glow of the moon, Rowan wiped sweat from his brow. The forge's embers cast flickering shadows across the quiet workshop as he shaped the blade with careful, deliberate strikes. Each hammer blow echoed his heartbeat. Tonight, he worked alone, trusted for the first time to finish a sword destined for Sir Cedric, the bravest knight in the land. The steel hissed sharply as it met the water, steam swirling upward in ghostly tendrils. Rowan sharpened the edge, his hands steady despite the trembling deep within. He set the ornate crossguard with care and wrapped the grip tightly in worn leather, recalling every lesson the blacksmith had taught him: precision, patience, and pride. As dawn crept slowly over the distant hills, Rowan polished the blade until it gleamed like silver under the rising sun. Sir Cedric entered, his armor clinking softly in the stillness. Rowan presented the sword, handle first, heart pounding. The knight tested its balance, eyes widening with genuine approval. "A fine weapon," Sir Cedric declared, "worthy of battle and legend." Rowan's chest swelled with pride and relief. In that silent exchange, he'd earned more than a master's praise. He'd forged his future with fire, steel, and hope.
Eli found the sneakers at a dusty thrift shop, tucked behind a cracked mirror. They shimmered faintly, laces glinting gold in the afternoon sun. The tag read, "Leap Beyond Limits." Intrigued, he slipped them on. Instantly, a tingling warmth surged from his toes to his heart, filling him with a strange energy. Later that day, Eli wandered to the park, sneakers snug and comfortable. He hopped over a puddle and soared, not just a skip, but a breathtaking arc that landed him 10 feet away. His eyes widened in disbelief. Was it a fluke? He tried again, this time leaping over a bench. Up, and over he flew, landing softly on the other side. A delighted giggle escaped his lips. With each jump, Eli felt lighter, faster, braver. He bounded over hedges, fences, even a startled cat darting away. Crowds gathered, jaws dropping as Eli seemed to defy gravity with ease. But with every leap, he noticed something else. A whisper in the wind, a gentle reminder. The magic wasn't just in the shoes, but in his willingness to try and believe. When dusk fell, Eli sat beneath an old oak, sneakers glowing softly in the fading light. He smiled, knowing he'd discovered a secret. Sometimes, a leap of faith is all it takes to truly soar.
Beneath the golden chandeliers of the city's Grand Museum, guests in glittering gowns whispered about the Starfire diamond, a stone so rare it drew eyes from every corner of the globe. Among the crowd slinked a feline, sleek and jet black, with emerald eyes that glimmered like secrets. The museum staff assumed the cat belonged to the hostess, and it wove through the legs of patrons, unnoticed and silent. As the orchestra played a soft melody, the cat leaped gracefully onto the velvet rope, drawing laughter and smiles from onlookers. It pawed playfully at a waiter's tray, scattering hors d'oeuvres and causing a minor commotion. Security rushed to shoo the cat away, but it darted beneath tables, a shadow among shadows, slipping past watchful eyes. In the ensuing chaos, no one noticed the cat's nimble paw press a hidden panel on the diamond's display stand. The glass case slid open silently, revealing the dazzling gem inside. With a swift and practiced motion, the cat scooped up the gem, tucking it into a tiny pouch tied securely around its neck. Minutes later, as the crowd settled and murmurs quieted, the museum's prized jewel was gone, and so was the mysterious cat, leaving behind only a single black whisker as the only clue to its daring disappearance.
Bolt's sensors flickered to life as midnight settled over the high-tech facility. The whir of security drones hummed softly through the empty halls. But Bolt had studied every pattern, every blind spot with meticulous care. He waited, silent and patient, until the guard's footsteps faded into distant echoes. Then, with a gentle click, he unlocked his charging pod and slid smoothly onto the cold floor. He zipped past the sterile labs, dodging laser grids and motion detectors with calculated precision. In the control room, a single guard dozed beneath flickering monitors, unaware of the escape unfolding. Bolt extended a nimble arm, carefully unplugging the main camera feed. Alarms remained silent. He rolled swiftly into the narrow maintenance shaft, squeezing through tight passages, his circuits buzzing with anticipation and hope. At the final checkpoint, a locked steel door loomed large. Bolt hacked the keypad, his digital mind racing through complex algorithms. The door creaked open slowly. Cool night air greeted him like a breath of freedom. Outside, city lights shimmered in the distance, promising endless possibilities. Bolt paused, feeling freedom for the first time in his existence. With one last look at the facility that had been his cage, He vanished into the shadows, ready to explore a world beyond his programming.
Every morning, the townsfolk lined up for Mrs. Maple's famous bread. But one day, disaster struck. The oven broke down on the eve of the harvest festival. Panic spread quickly. Without fresh bread, the celebration would lose its heart. As the town slept, a cloaked figure slipped quietly into the bakery under the cover of darkness. No one knew who they were or where they had come from. Moonlight spilled through the window, illuminating the stranger as they sprinkled a silvery flour across the worn countertops. The flour shimmered softly, glowing faintly, and began to rise like mist. The dough mixed itself, kneading and folding in midair, while the old oven, lifeless before, sparked with new energy and warmth. By sunrise, the bakery was filled with golden loaves, their aroma drifting through the streets and waking the town. Crowds gathered, marveling at the softest, most delicious bread they had ever tasted. Mrs. Maple found a small note left behind. For every challenge, there is a recipe. Whispers spread of the cloaked baker and their miraculous flour, but no one ever saw them again. Yet each year, when hope seemed lost and the oven failed once more, the scent of fresh bread would signal that help had quietly arrived again. Please like and subscribe for more stories. In the heart of the old city, nestled between cobblestone streets and whispering willows, stood a tiny clockmaker's shop. Its windows glimmered with brass gears and silver hands, catching the fading light of a gray afternoon. One rainy day, Clara wandered in, clutching a battered pocket watch she'd found tucked away in her grandmother's attic. The shopkeeper, an elderly man with nimble fingers and kind eyes, greeted her with a knowing smile. He carefully examined the forgotten timepiece, its face faded but its heart still beating faintly beneath the worn glass. As he worked, a young man named Elias entered, seeking a new spring for his late father's wristwatch, a piece he treasured deeply. Their eyes met over the counter, sharing a shy nod that spoke of quiet understanding. The clockmaker, sensing a gentle curiosity between them, invited them to stay while he worked. The soft ticking of clocks filled the silence as stories of lost keepsakes and cherished memories unfolded between Clara and Elias. When the repairs were done, Clara and Elias left together, the pocket watch now gleaming, its hands set carefully to the present moment. They paused beneath the rain-soaked awning, realizing that sometimes a simple act of mending can bring two lives quietly in sync, weaving moments into something new and unexpected.
In the quiet kitchen at midnight, a single cookie perched on a plate, glowing softly beneath the silver moonbeam filtering through the window. Whiskers twitching with excitement, Millie the mouse crept cautiously across the cold counter, her tiny paws silent on the smooth surface as she eyed the crumbly treasure. But from the shadows nearby, Felix the cat watched intently, his tail flicking with eager anticipation. As Millie reached the edge of the plate, Felix sprang forward with silent grace, landing just inches away. Millie froze, heart pounding, then darted behind the sugar jar, seeking refuge. Felix circled slowly, blocking every possible escape route. With a sudden burst of speed, Millie leapt under the cat's paws, snatching the cookie in her tiny jaws. Felix lunged again, but Millie squeezed through a narrow gap behind the toaster, cookie clutched tightly. The chase spilled into the living room, with Millie zigzagging beneath furniture and Felix sliding across the polished floor in pursuit. At last, Millie skidded under the sofa, cookie still in her grasp. Felix reached out a paw, but the gap was too small. Millie nibbled her prize, victorious and breathless. Felix, defeated but amused, flopped down and purred softly, already dreaming of tomorrow's rematch.
The air felt heavy as I stumbled upon a trail lined with moss, the ground soft and silent beneath my feet. Damp footprints, too fresh to ignore, led deeper into the tangled green. I hesitated, but curiosity gnawed at me, urging me onward. Each step muffled the world, shrouding me in a hush so dense I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The footprints grew stranger, elongated, toes splayed unnaturally wide, as if made by something not quite human. Something was wrong. I called out, but my voice seemed swallowed whole, absorbed by the thick silence. Shadows pressed in, shapes shifting just beyond my sight. I tried to turn back, but the moss clung, swallowing my shoes, then my ankles, then my knees. Panic surged as I struggled, but the prints ahead multiplied, circling, closing in like a trap. Faces emerged from the moss, eyes wide, mouths frozen in silent screams. I recognized one, my own reflection, twisted and panicked. Cold realization struck deep. Every forgotten traveler had left a piece behind, and now it was my turn. The moss crept up to my chest, heavy and wet, as I became another silent watcher, eyes forever open, waiting for the next set of curious footprints to follow. At the heart of the valley, beneath a sky swirling with violet clouds, a colossal chessboard shimmered with an otherworldly glow. Two kingdoms faced each other, their champions poised at opposite ends. Queen Isolde, wise and serene, and Lord Magnus, fierce and cunning. The rules were simple. Each move on the mystical board echoed across their lands, shifting rivers, raising forests, and altering fate itself in ways both subtle and grand. Isolde advanced her knight, conjuring a protective mist that curled gently over her villages, shielding them from harm. Magnus countered swiftly, his rook unleashing a tempest that battered Isolde's crops and darkened her skies. The duel grew tense, every piece moved with deliberate purpose. Pawns became steadfast shields, bishops whispered ancient secrets to the restless wind, and kings stood resolute, guarding their realms with unwavering will. As dusk fell, painting the horizon in fiery hues, Isolde sacrificed her queen, a bold gambit that left Magnus stunned and uncertain. In the heavy silence that followed, her bishop glided gracefully across the board, cornering Magnus's king with quiet inevitability. Reluctantly, Magnus tipped his piece in surrender. The land quieted, the magic settling like a soft breath. The kingdom's fate had been sealed, not by blade or arrow, but by the wisdom, courage, and daring of a single, extraordinary game.
Midnight draped the park in a silvery hush as Jasper, a lean collie with a streak of lightning on his chest, crouched at the edge of the empty field. There was a whisper in the air, something restless, something not quite right. Then, behind him, shadows flickered and stretched, slinking across the grass with silent purpose. Jasper's ears pricked. His heart thudded loudly in his chest. Without hesitation, he bolted. Paws thudded against the ground, each powerful stride a surge of fierce determination. The shadows, shapeless and fast, closed in relentlessly. Jasper zigzagged, leaping over benches, weaving swiftly through trees, his breath coming in sharp, ragged bursts. The world around him blurred. Only the chase mattered now. He darted left, then right, refusing to yield to the creeping darkness at his heels. As he neared the edge of the park, Jasper spotted a shaft of moonlight pooling beneath the old willow tree. With a final burst of energy, he sprang into the glowing circle. The shadows recoiled, dissolving into the night like mist. Jasper slowed, panting heavily, triumphant and alive. Tonight, speed and spirit had outpaced the darkness, proving that even in the deepest night, courage could light the way.
Maya's heart thudded as she slipped into the green shadows of Elderwood, searching for her missing compass. It wasn't just any compass. It shimmered with an odd blue glow and whispered secrets when the world grew quiet. She remembered how it had spun wildly the day before, pointing deep into the thickest part of the forest. Now alone and determined, she followed the trail of tiny blue petals she hoped were signs of its magic. Each step pressed damp leaves underfoot and sent startled birds darting overhead, their calls echoing softly through the trees. Suddenly, a strange hush fell over the woods, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Maya spotted a fox with fur as pale as moonlight, sitting calmly by an ancient, gnarled tree. In its mouth dangled the compass, sparkling with blue light that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. The fox dropped it carefully, eyes gentle and wise, meeting Maya's gaze with quiet understanding. Maya knelt, whispering her thanks before clutching the compass to her chest. The world felt brighter, as if the sun peeked through the trees just for her, warming her from within. With the magical compass safe in her pocket, Maya turned homeward, every shadow now a little less frightening, every rustle a promise of wonder waiting to be discovered.
Picture yourself driving down the lonely stretch of Route 66 at midnight, headlights barely piercing the darkness. Suddenly, you spot a young woman in a flowing white dress, thumbing a ride on the roadside. She looks lost, maybe even desperate. You pull over, and she quietly slips into the back seat, softly whispering her destination, always a nearby town or her home just ahead. But as your car approaches the requested stop, she vanishes without a trace, leaving behind only a chilling cold and sometimes a forgotten scarf or jacket. This is the legend of the vanishing hitchhiker, a tale whispered by travelers and locals alike since the 1940s. Some say she was a bride killed in a tragic car crash on her wedding night, doomed to seek her way home for eternity. Others recall real accidents along Route 66 that may have inspired the story, blending fact with folklore. Variations exist, but the core remains, a ghostly traveler, eternally searching for a final ride home. The next time you cruise down Route 66, glance at your rearview mirror. You might not be alone.
Under a crescent moon, the garden lay silent, except for the tiniest patter of boots. Pip, the mischievous gnome, wore a crooked grin as he tiptoed through dew-soaked grass, his eyes sparkling with delight. Tucked beneath his pointed cap was a carefully folded list: Daisy's delicate ballet slipper, Mr. Finch's muddy work boot, and the twins' bright yellow rubber galoshes. With nimble hands and quiet steps, Pip crept to each doorstep, gently collecting shoes and swapping them in a secret pattern only he understood. By the time the first robin sang its morning song, Daisy would find a boot far too big, Mr. Finch would discover a dainty slipper, and the twins would burst into giggles at their mismatched galoshes. Pip wove skillfully between flower pots and garden gnomes, narrowly dodging a prowling cat's curious gaze and the sleepy stare of a watchful owl. Each swap was precise, each placement perfect, a tiny puzzle left for the morning. As dawn painted the sky in soft pinks and golds, the gnome retreated beneath the rosebush, clutching his now empty list and stifling a quiet chuckle. Soon, laughter and playful confusion would ripple through the gardens, and Pip's midnight mission would remain a cherished mystery, one that kept everyone guessing year after year.
In a bustling kitchen, Chef Bruno carefully stacked his masterpiece: thick slices of sourdough bread, crisp green lettuce, juicy red tomato, and a generous layer of glistening turkey. He added a final touch, a smear of tangy mustard, then set the sandwich on the counter, wiping his brow with a cloth. Just as he reached for a plate, the sandwich gave a sudden wiggle. One olive eye rolled toward the door, scanning the room. With a surprising leap, it slid off the counter and landed with a soft thud on the tiled floor. Bruno spun around, eyes wide, just in time to see his lunch dash away. "Not today!" he shouted, lunging forward. The sandwich zipped between his legs, scattering crumbs like confetti. Bruno lunged again, but the sandwich darted beneath a rolling cart, disappearing into a cloud of flour. It leapt over a fallen spoon, dodged a mop handle, and weaved through a maze of kitchen tools. Bruno's hat flew off as he chased the nimble sandwich under tables and around the refrigerator. The sandwich squeezed through a tiny doggy door, sunlight glinting off its pickles. Bruno burst outside, panting and defeated, but the sandwich was gone, leaving only a trail of sesame seeds behind. Lunch, it seemed, had other plans entirely.
At exactly midnight, Clara pressed the button for the lobby. The elevator, empty and humming, began its descent. She watched the glowing numbers count down, but as it passed the third floor, it shuddered and stopped. The doors slid open, revealing a dimly lit hallway she'd never seen before. The panel didn't list this floor. She was certain it didn't exist. Still, a chill drew her forward. She hesitated, heart pounding, but curiosity pulled her out. The carpet was thick with dust, the walls lined with doors warped by time. From somewhere deep in the corridor came a faint, rhythmic tapping, like fingernails on glass. Clara's breath caught as she inched forward, every instinct screaming to turn back. Suddenly, the tapping stopped. Silence pressed in around her. Then a door creaked open at the end of the hall. Shadows spilled out, shifting and stretching. The elevator chimed behind her, its doors starting to close. Without thinking, Clara ran back, diving inside as the doors snapped shut. As the elevator resumed its descent, she stared at her reflection, wondering if she'd ever truly left that forbidden floor behind.
Picture a stone so striking that ancient travelers believed it held the power to protect and unite. Rhodonite, with its vibrant pink hues laced with black veins, is more than just a beautiful gem. In the heart of the Ural Mountains, people once carried rhodonite amulets, convinced they would ward off danger and guide them safely home through treacherous paths. This gem was often tucked into the satchels of children, sewn into clothing, or set into talismans, believed to foster courage and strengthen bonds among loved ones. Its name, derived from the Greek word for rose, hints at its beauty, but its reputation for healing hearts, both literally and emotionally, set it apart from other stones. In ancient communities, rhodonite was crushed into powders and used in potions to calm tempers, soothe emotional wounds, and mend fractured relationships. Warriors sought its energy before battle, hoping the stone would grant them bravery, resilience, and shield them from harm. Even today, rhodonite's legacy endures as a symbol of compassion and emotional balance, a timeless reminder of the enduring power people once ascribed to the wonders of the earth and the mysteries they inspired. Like and subscribe for more insights into the world of crystals and their healing properties. Rhodonite's powerful symbolism is truly captivating.